The wait is finally over!
From coast to coast, gamers lined up to get their hands on this little package, Halo 3.
Halo 3 is here.
When the second installment was released in 2004, sales skyrocketed past $125 million in the first 24 hours, and Microsoft predicts the newest version will do even better.
The launch of Halo 3 was one of the most exciting moments of my life. It's hard to explain just how big Halo 3 was. Digital sales did exist at the time, but they're nowhere near as big as they were now. Steam only started a few years prior, and the Xbox brand in its own way had gained considerable steam. It may not have won sales-wise between the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube, but it definitely had the best online. It was the most powerful console of that generation. People noticed, especially with a system seller like Halo 2, and Xbox Live that nothing else could compete with. Combine this with the fact that the Xbox 360 launched a year before the PlayStation 3, and when the PlayStation 3 did launch,
it requires huge financial investment, $599 US.
Yeah, it may be easy to forget nowadays, but at first the 360 was completely demolishing the PlayStation 3 thanks to Sony's mistakes and Microsoft's success. And Microsoft was doing an incredibly good job garnering excitement for the new Xbox. They had titles like Gears of War and most notably Halo 3. Both of these games, and many other early 360 titles, to me have some of the most memorable marketing campaigns. I still strongly attach the song Mad World to that one Gears of War commercial, and I'll probably be able to replay every Halo 3 commercial in my head until the day I die. But the most notable one is probably the Believe commercial. This led to Halo 3's launch being the biggest media release of all time at that point. If you were around at that time, you remember how much excitement there was for this game. I'm sure plenty of you still have a few unopened cans of that old Halo 3 Mountain Dew Game Fuel. I was in high school at the time and said screw school, went to the midnight launch, got Halo 3, played Halo 3 all night long and woke up at 4 PM. Which is actually the sleep schedule I mostly stick to today. If you're about to call me lazy for sleeping all day, while you're sleeping all night, I'm working. You're lazy. Yeah, the logic doesn't work, does it? Point being, 2007 was a special time of my life that will be very hard to forget. Halo is an interesting case with me. It's hard to have nostalgia for the game because I never stopped playing it, at least as far as the multiplayer is concerned. If you say something about Halo 3, I think of out-BRing someone in Halo 3's multiplayer. However, those memories are still tucked deep in my brain. And one of the things that really unlocks those memories is hearing any of Halo 3's music. 2007 was a special time for me. I would leave high school, go to a friend's house, play Super Smash Bros. And Halo all day. A time where kids were dreaming forward instead of being adults dreaming backward. And especially not a time where we're dealing with a global pandemic and police literally shooting people in the head. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. The point is, this game had such an impact, it was such an event, that you'll find these sort of experiences everywhere, no matter where you go. So before I even dove into Halo 3, I wanted to somehow explain just how big it was. And if any of this makes you feel old, you're probably in your 20s or younger 30s. You're not old, you were just a kid back then, now you're an adult. Anyway, let's actually talk about Halo 3. Everything I said only applies if you played on console. Now, I'm mainly a PC gamer, but I had all the consoles at that time too, so I played a lot of Halo. If you didn't do that, You've been waiting 13 years to play Halo 3 on PC, and it's finally here. This is largely going to be just talking about Halo 3, not so much the PC port. I'm sure plenty of other people have reported on that already. I just wanted to talk about Halo. I'm also operating under the assumption that you probably have played Halo 3, but I'm also realizing a lot of kids didn't play Halo. It was before their times, which irrationally infuriates me. But it also means I don't want to spoil anything for them. I think they need to experience it for the first time on their own. Don't worry, I didn't want to sit here and recite the plot anyway, but I do want to talk about the finer details of things. Just note there won't be any spoilers. I guess let's start with the graphics. For a long time now, I've occasionally heard people ask for a Halo 3 anniversary. But to be honest, this game really doesn't need it. It graphically still looks good. Sure, the animations and the textures are a little outdated, but as a whole, it's still a pretty looking game. And this really just shines light on how big of a game this was back in 2007. Back then, a new console generation meant a massive leap forward graphically. We've definitely reached the point of diminishing returns today, but compare the original Xbox to the Xbox 360. There are some moments in Halo 3 where I'm still genuinely impressed by the lighting. And for 2007, the environments are large, no matter if you're playing on console or PC. However, back then when Halo 3 was stuck on the 360, we were stuck to 720p 30 FPS. This game looks even better at 1440 60 FPS, which is what I'm playing at. And honestly, nothing more needs to be done. A larger resolution and a smoother frame rate is all you really need with Halo 3 for it to still look good today. Especially since a lot of its beauty comes in its presentation. The cinematography in the cutscenes, the angles they're using, the pan shots to show the vastness of whatever they're standing in front of. The classic Halo music that could have only been written by Marty O'Donnell. And the voice acting was just as good as the already amazing voice acting we had in Halo 2. This, as far as the story and plot is concerned, has the same presentation Halo 2 did, but with a much bigger budget. All of it really makes me want a proper Halo movie, but I'd be terrified they'd screw it up. On top of everything else, Halo 3 has a level of polish years ahead of Halo 2. Halo 2 was kind of a rushed game, and at times it suffered for that. Bungie did not make the same mistake with Halo 3. Every single loose end, every single conflict, every character was tied together with a neat solution in Halo 3's story. It is certainly more than enough to leave you fulfilled and attached to every one of these characters. Needless to say, as far as the hardware goes, as far as the graphics goes, as far as the story goes, Halo 3 surpasses Halo 2 in every single way possible. But that's leaving out the most important thing, the gameplay. All of this can be fine and dandy and fantastic, but if the gameplay sucks, so does the rest of your game. Halo 3 obviously doesn't suffer this, you already know the answer to that. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be going over every single level, very briefly. I don't want to make the video too long. The first level is technically not a level, it's just a cutscene called Arrival, but it's very important as it explains how Master Chief got to where he is from Halo 2. This is also the first time we see Master Chief and the Arbiter truly meeting each other in person. Yeah, they had that whole thing with Gravemind, but that's not really the same. This established that the elites and humans are working together now, even the human that forced the Arbiter to become the Arbiter to begin with.
Were it so easy. We must go. The brutes have our scent.
The first true level is Sierra 117. This is a very good introductory level. It's linear, doesn't throw too much at you to overwhelm the player the first time playing it, and introduces you to the new brutes. I always complained about the brutes in Halo 2. They just kind of look like big monkeys that get angry and charge you. They're not really that fun to fight. But in Halo 3, they've been overhauled. They can still get angry and charge you, but for the most part, they honestly feel more like you're fighting the elites in Halo 2 rather than the brutes from Halo 2. Lots of armor pieces that you'll need to shoot off to eventually get a headshot. They generally don't just devolve into getting angry and charging straight at you, making the whole gameplay routine very boring. Or at worst, frustrating. I should probably point out that Halo 3 is nowhere near as hard as Halo 2, and that's a good thing. If you're gonna be one of those people that points to me and says, "Oh, just get good," no, you're factually wrong. Halo 2 is a difficult game, and you're a clown if you think otherwise. That or you only played it on normal and never tried to play it on legendary. Crowsnest. This is another linear level that really only serves the purpose of reuniting Master Chief with the UNSC. It's fun, but my memories I have with it are mostly just my own Marines constantly throwing grenades at me and killing me.
Or there's just too many guns I want to use. Stop shooting me. Oh! Dumbass Marine killed me!
Savo Highway. This is where the game really starts to open up. It's the first vehicle segment. Halo 3's sandbox is largely on display here. Take a Warthog, take a Chopper, take a Wraith, walk if you want to, do whatever you want, however you want to deal with the enemies. Do as you please, have fun. This level is a great example of when I say things along the lines of Call of Duty campaigns suck because they're too linear and they're scripted and you're basically playing a movie. Halo 3 does the total opposite of that. It lets the player have complete freedom while still having a goal. And since the AI interact with each other in such a way, it always makes the game dynamic. It's never the same thing. Things like Call of Duty campaigns script and manufacture their big bombastic set pieces to play a specific way. They are forcing the game to be bombastic, and it will never change no matter how much you play it. Halo 3 allows the set piece to be bombastic around you. It allows you to try to control this set piece, instead of the game controlling you. The Storm, similar to Salvo Highway, but you'll mostly be remembering this one for the first Scarab encounter. Scarabs got completely redone in Halo 3. Instead of just being a one-time scripted event like it was in Halo 2, granted still being a fun one, Scarabs act more like regular enemies nowadays. Just very big ones. And again, Halo 3 Sandbox is completely open. You can deal with the Scarab however you want to. You can take the easy route out and just shoot down its legs and then jump on top of it, or you can do something more interesting, like jump a mongoose onto it, or hijack a banshee and fly on top of it. As long as you shoot the weak spot inside of the Scarab, the game does not care how you get rid of it. You're allowed to do as you please. This was also the first time you were able to drive a mongoose, and I was so excited about that, because I was disappointed it was cut out of Halo 2. Then I realized the mongoose is actually kind of garbage, but it was still really fun. I didn't care. I'm so happy it was in the game. Floodgate. This might be the shortest level in Halo history, and as you can expect, it's the first time you encounter the Flood in Halo 3. I'm going to say something that might shock all of you. I don't mind the Flood in Halo 3. I know. I talk all the time about how much I hate the Flood in Halo 1 and 2. Even to go as far as to sometimes say the Flood ruined those games whenever they show up. But I just don't feel the same way in Halo 3. They're not my favorite enemy, but they're okay. They're even fun at times. Anyway, the Flood showing up are obviously a very big deal. Not just because you need to quarantine and deal with them, but because now there's another faction added to the story. The Ark. This is one of Halo 3's huge levels. It's one of the vehicle sections. You get to drive a tank, you get to drive a Warthog, you get to drive whatever you want. It's another level where the sandbox is on full display. I say this as someone that generally doesn't care too much for the Halo vehicle levels, like say in Halo 1, Halo the level, didn't really care too much for it. In Halo 3, the vehicles are fun, and I don't mind the vehicle levels. The Covenant. The Covenant might be the biggest Halo level up until this point. It was also the first time you got to use a Spartan laser. Yeah, kill him with your big angry pink eye. It was also the first time you get to use a Hornet. This was long overdue. The UNSC didn't really have anything to rival that of the Banshee. For almost anything else, there was a human equivalent to a Covenant weapon and vice versa. You had also only fought 2 Scarabs the entire game up until this level. This level has you fight 2 more at the same time. The Scarab battle and the entire fight around it is the perfect example of what I mean when I say Halo 3 was big and bombastic. It was bigger than anything Halo had had before, and it did it in a way that was polished, cohesive, and most importantly, fun. Okay, we gotta talk about Cortana. This level is generally regarded as one of the worst Halo levels. Up until this point, I had been remembering it that way myself, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not one of my favorite levels, but it doesn't give me that feeling of loathing the game. If I ever have to play the library or quarantine zone, I'm hating everything around me. You know that feeling when you're sitting at home and you have to do your homework and you just really want that homework to be done. You just don't want to do it. Or maybe you just woke up in the morning and you're dreading that thought of really not wanting to go to work, but you have to. That's what I feel like when I'm playing the library and quarantine zone. I didn't get that feeling when I was playing Cortana. It probably helps that it's not a tremendously long level, you can blaze through it rather quick. Anyway, this entire level is the Flood, as you can probably tell. And then we get to the final level, Halo. There's not much I can say without spoiling it, I mean it's the last level in the game. What I can say is that the ending Warthog run is one of my favorite Halo moments of all time, and I think all of you are going to share that opinion. Even if the physics like to try to kill you anyway. Why are we doing a front flip? No!
Oh
no! Okay, that was not my fault.
Yeah, that was all your fault, Jarek. I blame you.
Oh, that's so underwhelming. Why did that happen?
No.
No. It's fine.
It is okay.
All in all, by the time I beat the game, it only took me around 3.5 hours. But do keep in mind, we're Halo players that have been playing since childhood, so it'll probably take you considerably longer. On top of that, Halo 3 is endlessly replayable, so I don't think anyone's going to complain about that anyway. Halo 3's campaign is bigger, it's louder, it's more emotional. It's the only time you can really say and throw out these buzzwords and have them be true. Halo 3, as far as campaign is concerned, truly was Bungie at their peak. It's probably not my favorite Halo game campaign-wise, but I can't argue with the fact that simply it is better than the others as far as polish is concerned. What I'm trying to say is it's just a really good game, just go play Halo 3. Oh, but we're not done yet, because we still have the multiplayer to talk about. Multiplayer has always been immensely popular when it comes to Halo. Without multiplayer, Halo just isn't Halo. Halo 2 was not a very balanced nor polished game. It brought up a lot of problems, especially the battle rifle being overpowered as all hell. Halo 3 aimed to completely rebalance the sandbox, and as a result, it feels like a totally different game instead of just Halo 2.5. Movement speed is slower, map design is vastly different, the weapon balance is much better. But most importantly, the Halo 1 pistol came back! Yeah, I was excited about that, and then I used it and realized that it really wasn't the Halo 1 pistol, it was just the model. It's not bad. I see a lot of people say that it is bad, but it truly isn't. But it's no Halo 1 pistol. Anyway, the point I want to hammer home is that Halo 3's multiplayer is way more balanced than Halo 2. The assault rifle is finally useful, even if it sounds like an automatic stapler. It's obviously not as useful as a utility weapon like, say, the battle rifle or the Covenant carbine, but it's not the Halo 2 SMG. However, I would be lying quite a bit if I said that Halo 3's multiplayer is my favorite in the franchise. It's not. I actually prefer both Halo 1 and Halo 2 over Halo 3. And for one real main reason. Yes, the battle rifle was overpowered in Halo 2, but it was really neutered in Halo 3. Halo 2 was hit scan. Halo 3 uses projectiles. These projectiles travel incredibly slowly. You have to lead your targets quite a bit, even if they're only 10 to 15 feet away from you, which I always thought was really annoying. But to make things worse, the Halo 3 battle rifle has a significant amount of spread that just makes it feel random at times. This can lead to very frustrating bloodshots where it feels like you're aiming perfectly and they should have died. I get that you needed to nerf the battle rifle, but you kinda overdid it, Bungie. To me, this is the biggest detriment to Halo 3. It makes the gunplay feel sloppy and nowhere near as satisfying as previous games. It's still satisfying to get that 4-shot, but not like Halo 2 satisfying. In Halo 2, it rarely felt like there were outside reasons as to why you lost that BR duel. In Halo 3, it kind of regularly feels like that. To make things worse, a lot of maps in Halo 3 are focused more on ranged combat. The battle rifle at range is not a good feeling gun, which also adds to the increased frustration of the sniper rifle being all kinds of broken overpowered. Look, I know it's a power weapon and it's supposed to be powerful, but it feels a little too powerful just because you can't really properly contest it. Especially not on PC, where you don't need aim assist, and it doesn't matter if you're scoped or not. Which leads me to my next point. Playing this on PC is a little bit different. When it comes to Halo 2 on MCC on PC, aim assist with controllers is actually way too strong. It feels like you're at a disadvantage at mid-range if you're not using a controller. This is someone that is a longtime PC gamer and console gamer, and I am saying this. There's almost no other situation where a mouse just isn't better in every situation. But in Halo 2, I found myself actively using a controller because it kind of aims for me. I don't even have to try. Going into Halo 3, this sort of still exists, but nowhere near as bad, thankfully. This largely has to do with the fact that it's not hit scan, it is projectile based. At mid-range, it still kind of feels a little cheesy to be using aim assist. I was swapping back and forth between mouse and keyboard to test this out. But since the maps aren't quite as much mid-range as they are in Halo 2, this doesn't seem to matter as much. But that leads me to my one real complaint when it comes to Halo 3 on PC, and Halo 3 on MCC Xbox One actually, and that's the hit registration is awful. It looks like I'm shooting an invisible wall in front of this person. My shots are clearly landing on them, but not hitting him. This is not that unusual. This was also a problem that we've been seeing since Master Chief Collection launched back in 2014 on Xbox One and never got fixed. I've had so many people tell me that's just how Halo 3 was, but no, as you can clearly see, that's not just how Halo 3 was back on the Xbox 360. It's not because of the randomness of your BR, it's not because you aren't leading, it's just because the hit registration isn't working. At least at close range, which makes it even more frustrating because you can't tell if it's hit registration not working at long range or if you just aren't leading properly. I put a link down below in the video information to this original video if you want to go watch it. For the longest time, I thought it was just the Xbox One controller. I've never liked how the analog sticks feel. They feel too sensitive. Not enough resistance to them. When I looked at footage back on 360, I thought my aim was way better. But then when I compared them side by side, no it wasn't, my shots were just landing. This is something that absolutely needs to be fixed. I cannot tell you the amount of times I got perfect shots with snipers just to have them turn around and kill me. That is the stuff that will make you rage quit out of games. That is infuriating. I'm not sure if this is going to be a situation like Halo 2 Anniversary on PC where the problems got fixed within a week, or if they just never get fixed. Considering these problems have been here in the Xbox One version since launch, I'm leaning more towards they're probably never getting fixed, which is really frustrating. I'm not going to say the game is unplayable and exaggerate the problems. Halo players can be really big babies at times and love to complain very loudly. But this is a really big problem that needs to be fixed. Some multiplayer matches feel worse than others when it comes to this. I'm not sure what's really going on. And I'm not going to say that I didn't have fun, because I was mostly having a lot of fun playing Halo 3 online. But I won't lie and say that it didn't tilt the ever-living f*** out of me when it happened. That is literally my only complaint about the port. If this gets fixed, it's perfect in my eyes. They even fixed the audio issues that happened with Reach. Halo 3 apparently used the same audio that Reach did, and they fixed that for Halo 3 as well as Reach. So now the audio is fine. And to top all of this off, they gave us Forge. Halo 3 Forge and Halo Reach Forge. I've mentioned how much I don't like Halo Reach. It's just kind of not my thing. But I've always loved Reach's Forge. You can relive all those custom game modes that you had back in the day, or those racetracks that you did. Forge is amazing. Although unfortunately they still don't have the file browser. Why do I have to go to a certain player's profile to download their stuff there? Bring back the file browser, please. Anyway, that should have brought you up to date. Halo 3 on PC is a pretty good time. I still have so many memories about Halo 3. I love almost everything about that game. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. I'm around 25k short of 200k. I'm so close. If you would subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Thanks to all of you guys that joined me when I streamed this game for like 7.5 hours straight over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/JarekTheGamingDragon. If you subscribe, you get to see my videos ahead of time. Same thing for my patrons over on patreon.com/Jarek4. I also have extra tiers there. If you want to play a certain game, you can even just have me play the game you want. That's exclusive to a certain tier in Patreon, if you didn't figure that out. Thank all of you guys for watching. It means so much for me to live my childhood over again. And I will see you next video.